He's on the phone. So we're going to start our meeting with the prayer from the elder Barney Batista. And we will have an introduction to the prayer and the adoption of the agenda. We're going to start our meeting with the prayer from the elder Barney Batista. Where are you reading? Something? Yeah. Okay. So we'll open our meeting with the prayer from Barney. I know I said that already. We'll start my prayer and it's going to come on again, eh? Yeah, over and over. Don't say the word for the two times. Yeah, you know, just before I start, it was watching the tube last night there, and they had a documentary about the Mississaugas of the credit, the land that we're standing on here. It was most interesting, if you get a chance to look at it, of how much land the Mississaugas had here at the beginning. And it showed that on Toronto Island, that was all theirs at one time. And a lot of Toronto belonged to them. And they talked about their ancestors, the bones of their ancestors, and apparently they dug some up right where the 401 is in that whole area. So they had a lot of land in the area, but they're trying to preserve some of it to the best of their ability. And mostly the documentary was around the Toronto Islands, because there's one island out there apparently that's not really developed yet that they're working at. So it was interesting to look at that coming to this meeting and knowing that we stand on the land that belongs to the Mississaugas of the credit. And it's amazing how they got that name of credit. And it literally, back in the day, when the traffic was not good, the fur was disappearing, and the Mississaugas had no money, so they had credit. They bought stuff on credit, and they called them the Credit Indians, and that's how the name came about in a roundabout way. The Mississaugas of the credit, and so it's interesting to know that. And I bring that up because what we're doing in our own territories as well, you know, how we're compressed into an area, and how we're trying to make sure that somehow or other that we can have a good life on what we have, and try to expand on the grounds that we once occupied. So it's so I think it's a true lesson from the Mississauga of the credit, again, on whose land we're standing on. But so now we will put our minds together to see what future that we can build for the people that we're serving. And in so doing, we're glad that the Creator has given us another day to exercise the gifts that He's given us. We ask for His continued guidance as we meet with one another, and we will talk to one another in a kind and generous way and see what future that we can build for the people that we're serving. We also ask the Creator to be kind to those that need help these days, the ones that are less fortunate than we are. And we ask the Creator as well to look after those that might have lost a loved one. We ask Him to give those families some peace and comfort in the time of their need. And for us here, as we again meet and gather to look after the well-being of our people that we serve. We again ask the Creator to continue to look over our right shoulder and give us the wisdom and the courage to be able to make the decisions that need to be made for the betterment of those folks. So now we might start our meeting in a good way, as always, and that we greet each other and go over those things that are sometimes very difficult. But we need that extra little bit of a push from some spiritual guidance to be able to move things forward. And so we might start now, Mr. Chair, and see where this day goes for us. Anyway.
Thank you, Elder Barnes. I just wanted to start off with the agenda, but first I want to give a warm welcome to our new board member, Chief Rick Allen from Boston State First Nation, who was appointed by Tribal Council. So I want to welcome. And we're just going to introduce ourselves. Each of us will start ourselves. Yeah.
Well, you're the talk from McLean Radio.
Okay. I'm going to love it. Yeah. Thanks for all of it.
Yeah, I love it, right? It creates a lot of turbulence coming in. 1 year is kind of pleasant. I'm Harold Renner from the Gateway Tribal Council representative, and it's always a good round. It's always a good time to get together and have a good discussion. I have a good heart for policing. My heart has always been in law enforcement. I've been I served my community for a number of years, and but I have a lot of respect for the guys that wear the uniform. They go through a lot of takes a lot away from them, mentally, physically, emotionally, even family wise, and when you see them wearing the badge and wearing the crest, you certainly have a lot of respect for what they do. And I know you guys do it all through that I hear, and that's the reason you're here, because you have a lot of things to care for your people and your community. And I want to continue that to have that desire to see our people get the policing that they deserve, and the service and and cover that safety. Good.
And my name is Betty Woodford, and I'm from Port Southern, and I was with my tribal council. And, as you can see, I'm the only woman on the board. I always I was just talking with a friend yesterday about being on this board, or being on here, and I said, what's the board? With the board members, all of the others are males, and I didn't know this. And I felt that like a woman's voice is needed to hear, because we are different, we're different, so and I've been on this board for 4 years now. I'm learning, and I'm glad I could be here too. I learned a lot because I'm here. And thank you.
Jason, he's representing the law and tribal council. and nothing else to say.
You want me to go ahead, Frank? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'm Jeff Cooper. I'm with the Inspector of Policing. I'm the police advisor for NAPS. So a little bit about myself, because I'm new to everybody here and NAPS is new to the act. I'm from Six Nations of the Grand River, Cayuga Nation. Don't hold that against me. But southern born, I grew up actually in Hamilton. I'm a retired RCMP officer where I worked there for 34 years. Don't hold that against me either. So we're not starting off on the right foot here, but I was a superintendent there. I was fortunate throughout my career, early on, I worked with all 9 of the self-administered First Nations police services. I worked primarily with Six Nations Police, where I worked there for about 12 years, directly with the police service, and went on to work with the other services and sometime with NAPS as well, but limited. So I'm asking for some of your patience as I get to understand and learn a bit more about your culture as we go through this process. And then as I got older in my career, I went to Ottawa to our headquarters, where I was the Indigenous Executive Officer to work with the AFN. So I worked with the Assembly of First Nations and each of the RCMP leadership from each of the provinces in regards to Indigenous and First Nations public safety issues. So much of my career has been dedicated to Indigenous policing, and I have a large affinity for self-administered services to see them succeed, to see them, despite some of the challenges historically, to actually help support them, which I've done throughout my career. So I also volunteered in an Indigenous urban health facility where I was the vice chair for what's called the Dwada Desne, which has centers in Niagara, Hamilton, Brantford, and in Waterloo. I joined the Inspector of Police in September. Then NAPS opted in December. And since then, I've had the privilege to have 4 separate meetings, 4 with the chief and his leadership team, and 4 with Frank and Damien in regards to the board. We've identified obviously some issues, and that's to be expected. I can honestly tell you that all police services in Ontario are working towards compliance. They're no different than NAPS, right? There are issues everywhere that the inspectorate is working with municipal police services. So there will be a presentation on Thursday in regards a little bit more about the inspectorate and a little bit about my role. But I have colleagues out there that are police advisors for other police services and police boards that are doing exactly the same as what I'm doing. So there's no difference with that. So my objective is that one of my responsibilities is to be on and attend each of the board meetings, whether it's virtually or in person. I think for the first year, it's really to build the relationship, to get to a point where communicating effectively. I can tell you the first 4 meetings have been very good. I think the relationship is off to an excellent start. So I have great respect for both the NAPS chair and liaison and for the police service leadership. So my objective really is to work with the service, work with the board to make sure that you're working towards compliance of the new CSPA. So since you've opted in, there's obviously requirements that are going to be required. And so ultimately, what I'm looking to do is decrease the risk of the service and to see NAPS succeed. And I think what does that look like? That really, I think, is up to NAPS direction. So that's not up to my direction, that's up to where the board sees the police service going. I'm just here to make sure that you're aligned with the act as you fulfill your vision, where you see the service going. So I'm happy I'm around for the entire time. Happy to talk more. I'm looking forward to getting to know everybody more. And I thank you for having me, and thank you for welcoming me at our meetings. Thank you, Frank, and thank you to Terry for welcoming me to the service and those meetings as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I think most of you folks know who I am. But I guess I would want you to know that I've been working at this stuff since 1976. I was just thinking about it here, sitting down. Through the Friendship Center movement, through the AFN, as a national president at one time, with a provincial, all of that. As a chief, a lot of different things. But more recently, one of the things that I liked working at was with Justice Yacobucci, retired government type, a lawyer. Yacobucci was a Supreme Court justice. It's funny. I think it's a milestone for me. And so I just continue my work. But my real interest is, how does our culture fit into policing and fit into justice system? How do we weave what we are in this? Matter of fact, I was asked here a little earlier, how do we say police in our language, and what does it mean? And there's several different meanings, of course, from one place to another. And for us, it was kunawani. To shorten up the word, kunawani, kuna, that means to hold it, hold this person. I guess I was grabbing him. So it's kind of a holding and grabbing, keep him safe, kind of an individual in Ojibwe language in our territory. So we have to weave how we're going to express our culture in policing at the same time, to be able to have it one on somebody else. Anyway, that's kind of me. So maybe I should go down.
Good morning, Ajay. Welcome, Chief. My name is Mike Mattel-Owen, and I'm one of the Deputy Grand Chiefs for Anishinaabe Nation. So just for you, Jeff, I was the former board chair for the police service, NAPS, and been involved in the work, the journey leading up to the legislation. It was an interesting journey. Something that was badly needed, I guess, in a way. But at the same time, it was something like, it was there. It was something that we needed for the community. Because the police service at the beginning was started off in a very, very humble way, I guess. So, and it's been a long climb coming up to where we are today. And it's good to be here. It's good to be. It's good to have that recognition. So, this is I think my first board meeting under the legislation. Prior to that, I've always chaired the meetings before the legislation. So, so looking forward to moving forward, seeing what it has to offer, seeing what we can do. We're entering into interesting times right now. Bill 5. So I'm hoping that, you will be kind of like a scout for us. Because, the legislation will probably, present some interesting scenarios. So I'm hoping it won't, but at the same time, I'm being mindful it will, it might. I'm just here for until, I'm gonna be stepping out probably in about 10 minutes. Our executives are having their meeting at 10, but I'll be back after the meeting. So with that, maybe I should take good morning.
Oh, sorry. Terry Armstrong, presently the chief, I asked him soon. That's it. Yeah.
Stan Beauty is on the line.
Good morning. I'm not able to attend this meeting. It's a very important meeting. I had the operation 7 weeks ago. What happened was that about 12 years ago, I had colon cancer, and they had to cut up my small intestine at that time. So I guess my old won't act up, and it blocked my small intestine. So I had another open stomach surgery to fix it. I'm a former chief, Musquat Dam. I was there for a long time as a chief. I'm also a former Grand Chief in Shinnebaski Nation, and also a former regional chief of Ontario. I mentioned that because the work we're doing as police service board, I think it will become challenging to provide a protective safety for our people. In a very short time, I believe that the north will be open. All of the small communities will be hooked up to ground transportation. And I also believe that there'll be a lot of wealth creation in the north, development of our natural resources, precious metals. And when that happens, there's a lot of money to be had, and it attracts a lot of wrong people to do their own business, things that are not desirable, that are very harmful to the communities. So I think it becomes very important for Shinnebaski police to understand that in a little while what we can expect. I think it can get very dangerous for our officers out in the field, but I think there'll be a greater push for drugs and other contrabands into our remote communities. North of Solcott right now, for example, none of our communities are connected by land to all Winter Road. But as I mentioned, we already have energy into all the communities. We have communications, so that most communities are now talking about the desire to all Winter Roads. So I think to be mindful of that, we have to start thinking about what kind of measures need to be in place to be prepared for the time when all of the routes are in place for our communities. That concerns me because when I look at what's happening to our people today, a lot of our communities lose our young people or middle-aged people to overdose from drugs on almost daily basis, if not daily basis, in many of the communities, and I think that will increase. So we have a challenge before us. So again, I'm sorry I cannot be there because this is a very important meeting, and I can hear pretty good. Some speakers they get muffled sound, but most of the speakers come on very clearly as I sit here listening to the proceedings. You got you.
Thank you, Stan. My name is Frank McKay, I'm from Stockton Village First Nation. And I'm now representing Wendigo First Nation Council on this particular board. So I've been working with the board members here for quite some time on the board members, so now as chair of the board. I also want to mention that we have Russell Cotton, who's representing the independent First Nations east of Sally Lake. Russell's came in late last night and will be joining us later on in the day. We also want to mention that also we have Keith Mason. He's right now undergoing police checks that's required by the new NAPS legislation. That's a process that we need to undertake as board members for that police checks and the requirement to be on the board under the new legislation. That's an ongoing with us, and I just wanted to go with the
Good morning, everyone. I'm Fabian Batiste. I'm the board liaison. Been at this job for close to 19 years now, so I might be getting good at it. I don't know. We're pleased to be here in Toronto. We have a interesting agenda. I kind of stretched out a little bit to try to get this thematic training done as a group, as an alternative. I looked at the training piece and saw that it was kind of meant for people who didn't understand the First Nations positions. So we are actually the subject matter professionals in many of the situations that you'll see in the training today. I thought that I'd be a little bit forward, so I asked Jeff about and the training sessions that the Ontario Police College, if we could approach it as a group, look at review the material, discuss it, and provide some feedback to the government reps that will be here, and do it as a team, and rather than go through it all. It's a little bit more drier than usual because it's the perspective of what we would want to see in there, so it's really good. And I think that this is our opportunity to provide some input to the government on what training everyone else perceives it is, and if it's good enough for us, it should be good enough for them. I did review the materials, I did the training myself, but I'm going to keep all my comments back and let you figure it out from there. Just a warning, yesterday there was an update to the training site. So they did a major upgrade, and it's still down today. They said that it should be up hopefully by 10:30, 11ish. If not, they're going to have another site where we can actually log in and put up the training tools. So regardless, we should be in good shape as far as getting the receiving the package. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. And that's our board there. One member there. That's what we provide them. Fabian will we did the rules and procedures. I guess we already told you that's a public forum. And so on. So that's requirement of the legislation. So, but I don't know if you want to make any comments before we go into yeah. So anyways, we'll proceed on with our business for today. I want to go over the agenda for the next 3 days. We're at the call to order. All we need to have a motion, a board motion to
The motions to accept the new board member, Richard Allen.
okay, yeah. So I need a motion to accept Mr. Dallin to the new board member NAPS, voted by Harold Gunner. Second. Yeah, okay, second by Jason. With flood preservation. Okay, so then, all in favor? Everybody's in favor, Scotty in favor?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So, welcome. So, with that, we'll go to the agenda, a review of the agenda and adoption of draft agenda. So we're gonna review and adopt draft minutes, January 14th to the 15th, 2025 in Thunder Bay. February 18th, 2025 was the Zoom meeting, and April 23, 2025 was the Zoom meeting. So those 3 minutes, will be discussed. And then if there's any business arising for the minutes, will be covered within the report. After we're done with that, we'll have a financial report from our Jason Milestones.
We call him Jason P.
Jason P. will provide the financial update on the Director of Finance. At 10:15, in camera portion is HR internal investigation update, Jerry McNally and Julian Foster. We're making a presentation. Will they be present? Question or no?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Lunch is not provided. We have to go get our lunch. We will resume again at 1:30. At 1:30, and they can begin our CSPA training. And at 4 p.m. Will be adjourned to the day. On the second day, on Wednesday, it's hot breakfast, for good morning, Russell. Morning, that's our other board member there, yes, we'll have a hot breakfast served at 8, then call to order, community issues, board member will present the community issues that we recorded during this period. We will have a police report, carry on the shop, to the police, and then the board liaison report. We will provide an update on that tripartite negotiations, and that was provided by Fabian, Chief Board Liaison. Then we'll have the date and location of next NAPS board meeting, and that's not provided again. So the SPA training continues, and the tournament at 4:30 on day 2. Thursday, continental breakfast, call to order at 8:30, and they will have an inspector, of policing by Ryan Westner, Inspector General. 10:15 Special Investigation Unit presentation. And then at 10:40, we will have law enforcement complaints agency presentation. Then 11 a.m. school repair at Barney Batiste. And that's our agenda. Is there any questions or comments on the agenda? On the board? There's no questions or comments. I think I'm over. We second to adopt the agenda. Presented. Yeah, one by one. Okay, by Eric. Yeah, from different. Okay, is any objections? Opinions? Everybody's in favor? Yeah. Yeah. All in favor? Pass.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Yes, good, thank you, Scott. So we'll move into the first item on the agenda, which is the review and adopt our draft minutes. Okay, David?
If you go back on your screen there, you'll see the 3 sets of minutes. Just for the new board member, because you weren't present, it's normally not acceptable for me to be for a second. Minutes. we should provide, some time, Chair, this for people to have a quick review. I did ask everybody if they would have a look before they got here, but that doesn't always have a chance to occur. And, just so you know, we can do these, minutes as a single motion.
So, maybe we can quickly review the minutes on the meeting minutes.
I have a question.
Yep.
What's the minutes, what's the, some of the. We're talking about their program, their program. So I couldn't really fully understand. And that kind of about that, like, where the officers would be going to the community, or if they wanted, right, if the officers were going and went to the schools or whatever they were went, but if somebody was that how it was? I was getting one
I just
question,
want to
right?
know about the mobilization of the DARE program where
Oh, yeah.
it can be held.
Okay, yeah, we just expanded the DARE program. If there's certain communities that are asking for it, then we can help with that. Well, if they ask for it, they're more likely to get it. It's not only the ones that are asking for it, though. It's just that it's still not in every community. So if you want, if communities are wanting it, then we can adjust to get them to those communities as well. With the number of DARE officers we have trained, and we're going to continue to train them, but we just, like I say, we just trained a month extra. But that doesn't mean that officers in those communities can't do training in that work too, because we have a number of presentations and things that any of the officers in any of the communities. Like we have kind of a library of presentations that officers can do. So any communities can have, not necessarily that specific DARE program, but can get the drug work and like I say, we're reaching out to the communities as they're asking for it to enable those DARE programs, specific DARE programs. But that doesn't mean that the other ones that don't ask don't do. But it's usually what it comes from is like a community will say, can we have drug presentations? Can you come into our community? And then we'll accommodate you.
I like the idea of it, and I'm interested in, especially going to the schools, and like, to teach the awareness and the education to, school children.
Yeah.
Like how. Know that they'll be aware. Okay,
Yeah. Well, and I think the ask is more that they can line it up, like, so they can line it up, when do you want it done? That kind of thing, but,
yeah.
you know, it's a coordination thing more than anything. But we're gonna do it for anybody that'll ask for it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any more questions on the comments on the minutes? Yeah. No question? No? Is there any questions? questions stand on staff? On the minutes or? Three sets of minutes, there's one full meeting and then two full meetings. Not, we need to, adopt the minutes, you said you could do it all at once, but yes. So we'll make a motion to adopt all three sets of minutes.
The motion is to adopt, three sets of minutes of January 14th, 15th board meeting, the Zoom meeting of February 18th, and Zoom meeting of April 23, 2025.
So we have over, moved by Harold then. Second by Pradeep Lokur. All in favor? Stan, you in agreement?
Yes,
Okay, so it's moved. So we'll go on to, we'll go back to the agenda for the next item business arising from the minutes. Is there any business arising?
Chair, all of the business that we know is arising for the out of the minutes have some basis in reports that are going to be presented here either through Jason, Terry, or myself. So there's nothing else present.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to the financial report. Jason P. Jason,
Everybody.
you're on.
All right, thank you. I know there's a copy of the financial report in the package provided, I believe. It's up on screen now. So we're going to be talking about the second column, the current year actual column. This is the financial reporting up to February 28th, 2025. So under the revenue, we have our FNIP operations of just under $52 million, SPA operations of $87.5 million, provincial wage subsidies just under $2.3 million, the cadet program $98,000, the RCMP intelligence program $147,000, survivor support program $696,000. Drug unit, 1.4 million, one-time capital, 4.1 million, other revenues and recoveries of 502,000, and interest of 532,000. So our total revenue is $149,320,928. Just want to point out one thing, the one-time capital, you'll see it's quite a bit larger than what we projected for the year, and that's due to an amendment to our one-time capital agreement with Canada to complete the construction of our detachments in Niskandiga and in Martin Falls. Those had been dragging along, payments not going out to the contractors, so Canada approached us to give us the remaining funding so we could pay the contractors their final installments. So under the expenses, salaries and benefits, officer salary, 24.7 million, civilian salary, just under 4.5 million, overtime, 7.3 million, remote pay, 584,000, pension plan, 3 million, and payroll and benefit costs of 5.3 million. So total salaries and benefits, $45.7 million. Equipment, transportation equipment, 928,000. Other equipment, 5.7 million. Firearms, 254,000. Vehicle operating costs, 1.1 million. Other vehicle costs, 273,000. and other equipment costs, 72,000, for a total of 8.4 million. A lot of our transportation equipment purchases happened in March, so that's going to come up before year end. And the other equipment is all the final payments for the NAPS general headquarters and some of the spending on our new regional offices. Radio project maintenance, radio service and bell fees, 548,000, and maintenance, 300,000, total of 849,000. Aircraft and travel, our leased plane, 2.8 million. Aircraft charters, 10 million, and staff and other travel, 1 million, total of 14 million. Our leased plane costs are down. We didn't sign the lease until August of 2024, so it's not a full year that we will have in there, but that's why our aircraft charters are up significantly over last year. Building costs, rent and utilities, 2.1 million, and building maintenance, 1.8 million, so total of 3.9 million. You go to the next page, please. Other operating costs, operational supplies, 1.3 million, office supplies, 689,000, communication and freight, 510,000, legal, audit, and consultant fees, 519,000, recruitment and community programming, 460,000, computer services, 274,000, insurance premiums, 804,000, and conferences, 66,000, total of 4.6 million. Training, officer training, 453,000, and recruit training, 190,000, for a total of 644,000. And then other program costs, Intel program, 228,000, survivor support, 696,000, cadet, 98,000, one-time capital, 3.8 million, and drug unit, 1.4 million. So you'll see the Intel program, the expenses exceed the funding, the revenue that we have, and that's a common occurrence for us. We always go over. We're limited in what we get from the RCMP to 147,000, and that barely covers our officers' wages and benefits. So we always go a little bit over. Our total expenditures for the year to date, 84,644,142, and we have a deficit of 64 million, or sorry, a surplus of $64,676,786. So we are projecting to finish the year with a surplus. We have one more month worth of revenues and expenses to record, but we are projected to have a surplus for the year. Our audit this year will begin on June 30th, 2025, and expected to have the draft financial statements for board approval by the end of July 2025, so we can have everything filed on time to our funders. And we just recently finalized the purchase of our Sioux Lookout regional office. Chief Armstrong and I just signed the purchase agreement yesterday, and we'll be finalizing that within the week. Does anyone have any questions about the financial report?
Question there, Frank?
There, question, Russell?
That one-time capital, are we
Yes.
done with those, Scandiga and Martin Falls, or would?
Yeah, there's some little wrap up left. I actually just got the final inspection report for Neskantaga today. So we should be moving in there shortly. Martin Falls, we have moved into that building already. All we have left is to pay the holdbacks to the contractors.
Yeah, one more for me, the surplus, how does that work since we're new of all this?
So I have requested that we carry forward the surplus, just because of the delays in the signing of us into the act. We projected for all of this revenue to start flowing in July, and it didn't until December. So I'm hopeful that they'll give us some leeway, especially for some of our bigger capital purchases, because we just didn't have time to get everything invoiced before the end of March.
Just moving forward, are all these financials gonna be given ahead of time instead of being waiting certain times and not falling behind and moving forward with their budget? Is there gonna be an exact time when money start to come in, since we're in that new legislative change? No, the governments have it at a certain time, and are we gonna have that so we can plan efficiently as a board?
So yeah, the funding will be coming on time moving forward. Where I think right now for our first payment for the current fiscal year, 25-26, we're about 2 weeks. The payment is delayed by about 2 weeks just because of the elections and getting everything moving again. But I've spoken with our funders at the province, and we should have it in our account anytime now. So we will be moving forward, being able to make all our purchases and spend all the money in a timely manner moving forward.
Saying that, it still seems like we're still under that scrutiny of waiting for an election. I don't think any other police services wait for money to come in. Still seems like we're at that level of still waiting 2 weeks or whatever because of an election. Are we still continuing the program, or we're under a legislative change? That's what I think.
We're okay. We are able to move forward with our spending. It's not, and the delays aren't holding us up at all.
So, for this legislative, oversight, which is all on our police services, we shouldn't have to wait for, any disruption that might happen and occur at the federal provincial level, right?
Correct.
Okay. Right, do you have more questions?
Maybe I can shed a little bit of light on the funding issue.
Yeah.
And the oversight issue. Because they're two different departments. Typical, right? In government, it's not that simple. The people that Jason's talking to, I'm sure they're with the Ontario Public Safety Division. They're the ones that negotiated the opting in and the funding. They're totally separate than the role that I'm in. The two are not linked, the two are not linked together. So when it comes to the funding aspect, we really don't have any say with how that's managed or how that works. So in lots of ways, I'll be relying on this report, not the actual government agency, the public safety that did all that negotiating and dispersing of the funds. Jason, are you talking with Public Safety Ontario?
I'm talking with both Public Safety Canada and the Ministry of the Solicitor General. Yeah.
So they're obviously the Canada one. We have no say at all. But so we do fall under the sole gen. We do fall under that pillar, but they're separate. They're separated, somewhat siloed, and not actually. We're not associated with public safety. Total different division. than the oversight program. So my role is more just oversight of operations, not the finance. I just thought just for clarifying that, I know it's still a little blurred. I found that hard to believe myself when I got in the role. I thought they would be connected, but they're two separate divisions.
The expectation too was that because we were to sign the act in July, it didn't happen in December. The monies coming were based on the money we need from July to the end of the year. And it didn't come to December, so we had money we had to spend from December to, and as Jason had mentioned, we couldn't put all the pieces in place because they cut us short in timing. So that's why there's a surplus, is we couldn't realistically get contractors on board to make new builds and all those things in that same time frame that we had the expectation of signing in July, but the signing was delayed.
I was just gonna make a comment in regards to the aircraft travel. I know there's on the northwest line, there's some communities that are leased by OPP, right?
Yes.
And OPP who have an aircraft as well. Yeah, we already utilize that.
No, they have their own aircraft.
Okay. Is there ever a time or you don't want to nickel and dime, but at the same time you try to be reasonable? Is there ever a time when we're put into a place where we can utilize OPP services in regards to charter?
It's rare. It's more the other way around with because we utilize their transit and like their identification is that they fly with us into some of our communities to do, and they do of course homicides and stuff in communities. So we fly them in. It's probably less the other way around. But part of the soft end plan too was to get our own planes, to buy our own planes, but it's a couple years off. And I think once we can get those planes and, because it's 3 planes we're talking about, we'll see a drop in, obviously in the charters, because we'll have designated planes of our own. But now we're still in that realm of having to lease planes. So the OPP have their own planes, we do not, we lease planes. Yeah. And as Jason had mentioned in his report there, that there was issues with the lease this year and the signing of the lease with the company that we've established with. Yeah. And we've used different companies over the years, but yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Is there more like central, east, west split? Is there one side that uses more travel or just?
Well,
or is it?
it's hit and miss. It's depending on, like, I mean, we fly our people in on rotations, right? So the Northwest has more communities to go to. So yes, there's more flights into the Northwest, but it also balances on the nature of the calls. Like if we have to go in on charters, they could be on either Central, Northwest, or Northeast, depending on calls for service. So we do the normal rotations, like I say. There's more communities in the Northwest side than either the Northeast or the Central region.
Just something to know.
Yeah.
So in relation to the charter, we use a lot of is that the
Yeah.
is that the regular aircraft? Is that the Atlantic with last week for or do we need to do things?
I think historically it's been big enough, but as we grow and our rotations even low, I feel like it's not, they're not gonna be big. We're gonna have to look at it.
But do we have a plan to address that in the future?
Well, we have been trying to, we have been working to address it with a couple of local, some of the, Air Bravo talking about their capacity as we grow to do that. But the other thing is when we look at buying planes, we should look at buying bigger planes. Yeah. That fly some of. Because with the doing drop off and pick up on rotations, you know, right now, you're getting maybe 4 or 5 people on there with their kit, their gear and stuff. So you're not even getting the 9-seater. So we're gonna have to do a lot more pickups and drop offs as we grow because there's gonna be more people in each rotation. As we double in size, yeah. We need double the size of an aircraft, basically. So we're looking at a few of them. To see what's best fit.
Boeing to fail. I have a question. And I could ask this thing, kind of, I just want to put it out there. When the board is utilizing the charter, we've found like some charters be like really, really expensive high and another one really low. And so I kind of cheated the system a little bit and was going through headquarters, and then we got charged the hourly rate. Is that a thing? I like, is there a way that we can actually save money by booking through headquarters?
That might be a question for Jason.
So right now, with our lease agreement, we pay a flat rate monthly fee for the leased aircraft, for the dedicated aircraft, plus variable cost, fuel, etc. But we also have, as part of it, that Air Bravo is obligated to provide us with a second aircraft for charter at a discounted rate. So we can utilize that one on a regular basis, and that's what we try. That's what we try to do as much as possible.
Thanks, Jason. I think what we have to do is coordinate something with the provider.
Yeah,
absolutely. That the board is of the same name as the company.
And we can work that through Maureen in logistics. She has constant contact with the provider, so she would be able to provide that information.
Okay, yeah, we managed to do it the last 2 flights, which kind of puts me in a comfort zone. I want to keep on being able to do that.
Yep, absolutely.
Another thing we've been exploring as far as charters on the east side is helicopters. Because there's a few of the communities that doesn't take long, but it's all they get in, and they're more available and they're cheaper. So we're looking at that as well.
I thought they'll be more expensive helicopters.
Oh, actually, like for short runs. Yeah, and you don't. The waiting list isn't big. Like sometimes with our charters, we may have to wait much longer because they don't have a plane available, or they don't have pilots available. And that's been more common over the last few years to see that. Oh yeah, we got a plane, but we got no pilots. They're all timed out because the restrictions on them have got a lot tighter over the last few years. Just we're always trying to look at better, more efficient ways to do things. Obviously, having our own planes would be great, but it's not the only way to get to your destination. Because the distance is on the west side and the central side, you're probably not going to save any money in respect to charters on a helicopter. You'd have to fly long distances. You can get. Don't have the same basis for the helicopter flights. It's just like I say, something we're exploring right now.
Okay, is there any more questions or comments? Let the board give their own thing. All right, thank you, Jason. Do you need more to do? I need a more
No, just that one.
Okay, we'll find it. I don't know, and someone by Mr. Petition. Everyone in favor? That.
Yes, yes.
Oh, do we have our next step on or do we have a break?
The next guest have said that they're gonna be on for 10:30, so I don't know if you wanna take, the 20-minute break chair, or if you want to just, try to press on with maybe some community issues, whatever you wanna do.
Does the board want to take a break?
Oh, man, here. And, Julie, too, however.
We'll take a little break. Yeah. All right.
Słuszkę. Wieczne. No też kawałek pomocy.
It's okay, I'll clean that.
Huh?
It's okay.
Unless you're.
Our next section is on, HR internal investigation update. And we have our two guests here, Jeremy McNally, who is, conducting the investigation, and provide us an update on the matter, and also Julie Faulkner, our corporate lawyer, this thing when we, with the reporting. For this session, we need to have an in-camera session. So we will need the motion to go in camera for this session.
Yeah, the city one. He does. He'll give me the report of the data.
have a new camera section with this for the board, 4 years only, so. So this part of the session.
Okay. Just to let you know, Chair, it's a matter of practice throughout the province that the advisors typically sit in on a closed session. Because that's where a lot of the stuff happens, that's where a lot of the oversight and knowledge about oversight is required. So it's up to you. If you're asking me to step out, I'll step out, but I can tell you throughout the province, it is a matter of practice that the advisors do stay in. It's in the act that the advisors stay in typically in the closed session. There are certain items why I wouldn't stay. If you didn't like me, you want to get rid of me, so you want to talk about me. That's a typical one, right? You would ask me to leave and I would leave. There are, a few items, so I don't know if council maybe wants to have a sidebar with me to discuss that. But I certainly don't want to, get in the way of your process.
For the board, your information only. If you can give me some.
Yeah, but my respectful suggestion, and it's simply a suggestion, it's a decision you need to make as a board, it's not for me to, it's just a suggestion. My respectful suggestion is this discussion about whether someone or a position should be included in an in-camera meeting should happen in their absence. And then once you've had the discussion, if you want to invite the person back in, then you invite them back in, but it should happen in their absence.
We'll discuss amongst ourselves.
Okay. I will be just outside.
Okay.
First of all,
Okay, so, we need a motion to go in camera first. And then we'll talk about, Jeff's position, as an advisor to. He said it's part of the legislation requirement for him to participate in this kind of discussion. But I don't know. I'll move it to a break. Okay. Make the motion there. And that made a motion to go in camera. Seconder. Second by Harold. We're all in favor. Everybody in favor. Stan, you still with us?